Procrastination is the bad habit of putting off until the day after tomorrow what should have been done the day before yesterday. Napoleon Hill. Hi, this is Raven, the talk show maven, and you are tuned in to Don't Wait to Be Great, Do It Now, Global Radio Mega Summit, where we're featuring over 54 top experts and master teachers, all here for one reason, my friend, and that's to help you make that quantum leap. You know you want to make it so that you can turn your dreams into your reality. That means it's a done deal. You're speaking it in existence, yes, and that's why you're here. So we want to congratulate you again and thank you for being here. And wow, are you ever going to get excited now? Because I just read you a quote from the great late Napoleon Hill, legendary Napoleon Hill. Well, we happen to have his grandson, Dr.JB Hill, right here with us today, and we're excited right this moment. So you better grab something to write with and take some copious notes because you're not going to want to miss this one. Let me introduce you to him if you haven't heard me interview him before on my show, and if you haven't had the time to Google him, let's share a little bit about him. When Dr. Hill was 12, his grandfather gave him $10, some advice, and an autographed copy of Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill's influential book. He says he spent the money, ignored the advice, and lost the book. However, he says his grandfather's book would later change his life. You see, Dr. Hill, born in Morgantown, West Virginia, is the son of David Hill, the youngest son of Napoleon Hill and Florence Honor. He graduated from high school in 1966 and spent time in the Merchant Marines until 1969 when he was drafted into service as a private with the United States Marine Corps. By 1973, he had been promoted 5 times to the rank of staff sergeant and given the opportunity to attend Vanderbilt University, where he spent 3 years earning a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. At graduation, you know what? He was commissioned as a second lieutenant and commenced service in the Marines as a field artillery officer. He later earned a master's degree in mathematics from the Naval Postgraduate School. As an officer, Dr. Hill commanded twice, led a team of military advisors into Southeast Asia, briefed the Soviet General Staff, served as a side decamp to 2 Marine Corps generals, taught mathematics at the U.S. Naval Academy. And I could go on, but you know what? Why even waste your time? You don't want to hear from me. You want to hear from the man. And we're going to get caught up to what's he doing now and find out what he feels and how he feels that the Napoleon Hill philosophies can certainly, beyond a shadow of a doubt, move you, my friend, from good to great. So without further ado, my friend, Dr. JB Hill. Come on down, JB. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, Raven. Thank you very much for calling me tonight.
Yeah, we got to get you on there. How can we have Don't Wait to Be Great, Do It Now without having you on here for sure? Absolutely. So first of all, I want to welcome you, and everybody's excited about having you here. And we're going to jump right into the questions because we both know that they want to move to greatness very quickly. But I kind of, told them a little bit about you. Before we jump into the questions, we kind of left off at, where you were as far as in the Marine Corps. But I know, as we said, the Think and Grow Rich book came back later in your life. And can you kind of just catch them up to date from the point I left off in your bio to now?
Well, I retired in 1995 and got busy with the rest of my life, I guess. And I've been studying Napoleon Hill and his philosophy ever since. I just finished it's ironic, I just took the long-distance learning course offered by the Napoleon Hill Foundation, so I'm now a certified instructor in the philosophy of success. I've been teaching it for years, but now I've got the paperwork.
Now you're certified, huh? Absolutely. Got the paperwork to go with it. Yeah, I'm supposed to be doing that myself. It makes a difference, doesn't it?
It does. I've been busy. I went to New York City Book Fair exhibit and shared a booth of Sharon Lecter.
Yeah.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. She's written over 20 books, I think. But she wrote Outwitting the Devil, rewrote it so that make it suitable for today's people or readers. And she's also just finished a new book, which I'm really excited about, called Think and Grow Rich for Women.
I'm going to try to see if I can get her on.
Well, it'll be out, I think, the middle of June. She'd come on, too, I'm sure. But she actually rewrote the book. It's a major, major work, and I'm excited because we've needed something written for women and not just for men. And
Yeah.
it's going to be a major piece of work. I think she's got a website. thinkandgrowrich4women.com or something like that.
Okay.
It's worth the read. Worth the read.
Definitely have to check her out, and we definitely support her, because anybody that's taking the philosophies and doing it the right way of Dr. Hill's, we want to pass on. And I know if you're talking about her, and I've heard her name from Don Green as well as from Judith Williamson, so we will definitely have to look into her. Who knows, we might be able to squeeze her in right here, right along as well. So you found your way back to the book. How did that happen?
Well, when I was 23, 24 years old, I was standing in the Piggly Wiggly in Jacksonville, North Carolina. I was a sergeant at the time, and I'd been selected for staff sergeant, but I was alone and lonely and didn't know what to do with my life. And I saw a copy of my grandfather's book, so I picked it up and read it. And I read it twice in one weekend and decided that this is advice from my grandfather, and I would just do what he told me to do, and it transformed my life. And I've been kind of doing that most of my life now.
And now you're speaking in, different places and everything, so how exciting that is. Did you ever find your book, by the way?
No, I know who I gave it to. I gave it to a girl who wanted to change her life, and she wanted to change her life by marrying me. And when I figured that one out, we didn't get married, but I didn't get my book back either.
Well, let's jump into our subject. You ready?
Sure.
Okay. So we're talking about, why our listeners and even ourselves should not wait to be great, how important it is to do it now. You heard the quote that I read of your grandfather's early on, the importance, and he says it should be done yesterday instead of tomorrow, So, I really would like to find out from you the question that I ask all my master teachers, JB, and that is to define what great means to you.
Oh, boy. Well, I guess a person, other people consider people great for this reason or that reason, but I think greatness is something that's internal. For me, it's happiness and peace of mind. I think with coming to a resolution with my life, I think that's what greatness is for me, for an individual in general.
So what do you think stops most people from moving into their greatness? Just curious.
I think that people fail to achieve their potential for greatness because they fail to take control of their subconscious mind. And it is the subconscious mind that has the greatest influence on their lives. For example, it controls their behavior and their personality and functions to protect them, and it does it by generating fear. And if they don't take control of their subconscious mind, then they never have a chance to achieve greatness or great things in life.
So you say it controls their behavior and their personality. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure. The behavior is what we do when we don't think about things, right? And our personality is the way we behave in front of other people. We don't think about it. So where does that control come from? It comes from the subconscious mind. And unfortunately, the subconscious mind isn't rational. And so you don't always have rational behaviors and rational personality traits. And you have to learn to control the subconscious mind in order to gain control of your behavior and personality.
And once we begin to control it, then we can realize that, we have control in the decisions and the choices we make just by kind of flipping that switch, so to speak, huh?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the big thing, of course, is fear. But once you control your fear, you won't rule out possibilities just because of fear. You'll embrace them and turn them into realities.
And that's what we want to do. We want to embrace it and turn those dreams into reality, for sure. Now, many of our listeners, JB, you know what? They've never taken steps to move into the greatness based on their fear. You agree with that, right?
Yes. Fear keeps us safe, but it can harm you as well. It can paralyze us and keep us from taking action that we need to take. I think it's a major reason why people begin, or at least fail to begin anything in life because of their fear. But, we do have the conscious mind, and we can use the conscious mind to take control of the subconscious mind. That's what Napoleon Hill said when he talked about imprinting our definite major purpose on our subconscious mind. But when we do that, we redirect the subconscious mind, and that's how we overcome fear. The conscious mind is an interesting thing. You have to do that. The conscious mind is an interesting entity. It's not as powerful as the subconscious mind, though. The conscious mind provides awareness, and it accesses memory. It creates fantasies, and it recognizes feelings and sensations. But its biggest function is to direct the subconscious mind. You can think of the subconscious mind as an autopilot, and the conscious mind as a pilot that steps in to override and change the direction. So the subconscious mind is perfectly content to drift through life, and it doesn't like change, and it generally generates fear that causes us to fail, to drift through life forever. And drifting through life will continue until something catastrophic changes the conscious mind, or causes the conscious mind to step in and change and take control of the subconscious mind. You're drifting through life when you find yourself waiting for something to happen. You're afraid to take action, and you just drift. You drift along. And that's why fear is such a tremendous reason for failure in people.
Drifting along until, boom, something throws you off course, so to speak. I mean, that's what's happened to me. I know several times, and plenty of the listeners, I'm sure, have felt the same way. So when it throws you off course and something drastic happens, something that kind of stops you in your track, to push you past fear, where you're kind of forced to make that move. It's scary, though. It really
Absolutely.
is. Mm-hmm.
One of the greatest reasons for failure in successful people, what do you think it is? Success. Mm-hmm. They're already successful, right?
Oh, that's right.
So they're afraid to give up the success they've already achieved to go after their dream. How many people ever grew up and said they wanted to be a mathematics professor at a university? That's what they wanted to do. Their life's goal in life when they were 10 years old was to teach math in college.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be cowboys and engineers and astronauts, right? So what happens is we get into these tracks and we're successful and we're getting jobs and we have opportunities, and we put aside our dreams for the success that we've achieved, and we become secure and confident, and we don't want to risk any of that to go after our dreams. So later on in life, these successful people look back at their life and they think of themselves as failures because they never went after their dreams. So, but fear keeps you when you have 3 good meals and money in the bank. Fear keeps you in your job, whether you like it or not.
Well, I guess when I was thinking, when you asked me that question, what I was really thinking is how many people are fearful of more of success than they are of failure. And I think that's ironic because people speak about, I want to be successful, but still, that fear keeps them from moving. Why do you feel that is?
I haven't thought of it that way before, but I'm sure it is. Because success, when you're success, it means you're going to change. And everything around you is going to change. If you succeed and money comes your way, your life changes. I know a man that didn't want his son to become educated because his son would become so different from him that they wouldn't be able to relate to each other. He told me that.
Told me that. That's
he said he had trouble enough. Well, he said he had trouble enough talking to me. he didn't want to have that much problem talking to his son.
Yeah. That's interesting.
He wasn't unhappy with his life, and he didn't think his son would be unhappy with his life. But it was fear of success for his son that was kind of interesting, I thought.
Now, I know you're probably going to have to think back on this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Has fear ever stopped you in doing things that was important to you? And if so, what did you do to get through it?
Yeah, well, you asked some tough questions.
I know.
Of course, Raven. Who is without fear? I mean, really. I mean, fear should be thought of as a caution sign that we look at it and we slow down and look both ways. But then you got to get going through it. If you stop, you fail. Fearless people are just those who have learned to control and to channel their fear, I think. They face their fear, they make use of it. I'll give you an example. I've been doing some speaking recently, and last October I gave a speech at a large convention, 30,000 people live in the audience. And,
wow, 30,000. Moving on up, JB.
yeah, 30,000. I was a little bit antsy when I went up on stage, a little jittery, but that was just adrenaline that my body was generating, and it's a gift of energy, and it causes the jitters, but it provides you with clarity of thought. It's adrenaline, and and that's the product of fear, and you can make
Mm-hmm.
use of that if you recognize and know what it is. When I'm on stage like that, I'm able to use that energy, and I'm acutely aware of what I'm doing in the audience. My thoughts are never faster, never clearer, never more coherent. My brain is laced with that good old adrenaline. It's released by fear. So I make use of fear, whenever I can. It also, and if I get a chance, I'll talk about it later, but I think fear can be used to transmute it into something else, something that can be powerful for you. Fear of failure is a great motivating force.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It really is. Make use of failure. I like that. Okay, so I got to ask you this before we go to the next question, because I remember the first time I seen you when you were spoke at the Organo Gold event, and it was exciting then. I remember just seeing everybody light up because they were just, you were the buzzword. You know that, right, JB? Dr.JB Hill, Napoleon Hill's grandson's going to be here, so everybody was so excited. And I got the feeling, I could be wrong, but I had the feeling that time, I don't know if it may have been something that you said, that you were just getting into the point where you were speaking in front of, that big of an audience. And now when you just said 30,000, I just kind of closed my eyes and visualized 30,000. My goodness. Is this like an exciting time to you to be speaking more often in these big crowds now? You enjoying this?
No. No. I have to prepare something, and people expect things of me they don't expect of other people. And I always try to do something original, throw some original thoughts out there. And I'm able to do that because I have the science behind me to understand what Napoleon Hill was teaching. And I don't mean that it's not possible to understand. He taught us what to do to succeed. I can explain why it works. And so I'm kind of bringing the science of success, the truth, science of success, and marrying it with what he said. And it's exciting to me to be able to prove what he said was true.
Yeah, so you're kind of taking it to a deeper level, for sure.
That's my little niche anyway. I think the Organo Gold event that I did was in 2010. There were about 1,300 people there. And it was sprung on me. Judith Williamson said, here's the book signing for tomorrow, and here's the schedule. And I looked down, and I said, what's this? She says, oh, you're going to talk. And I said, what? Yeah, you're going to talk for 20 minutes. And I said, you want me to talk to 1,300 people for 20 minutes tomorrow? He said, yeah, you can do it, Dr. Hill. Yeah.
I remember that. It was so funny. I also remember, and that's why I'm laughing, because I just visualized that moment when you were there. And I remember I had just interviewed you probably about a month before on Careers from the Kitchen Table. Do you remember that? And
I
you
do
on
indeed.
stage in front of those 1,300 people, JB, you said, I was on this Raven Blair Davis show, and I never did get to hear it.
Yeah.
Threw me under the bus, JB.
Well, I had to have something to talk about, right? So there was that poor guy.
They gave you a good bounce off, huh?
That poor guy I met on the shuttle, and he was trying to recruit a girl into the business. I thought he was trying to pick her up,
Yeah.
And then at the end I realized he was trying to recruit her into the business. So I asked him if he was out there. He said, "I'm out here, Dr. Hill." And I said, "Did that girl ever come over?" "No, she didn't." And I said, "Well, keep on working." That was fun.
Yeah, you had some good times, and I get that, because when you go up there, and I thought it was actually good talking about him, and then also talking about me in the interview, because that kind of loosened everybody up, because they were so excited to see you, and it loosened you up at the same time. So that was fantastic.
You got that right.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because people who are super successful in making things happen in their life have to get things done, even if they are afraid, JB, as you know. They have to break through the fear, as we talk about. What have you been most afraid of? Going back to your early days of your journey, and how did you handle it?
Well, once I got over the monster underneath the bed, you mean? Or in the closet?
Yeah.
I think my adult fear, my greatest fear in life was retirement. And I did that in 1995, almost 20 years ago. I was terrified of having nothing to do, of losing my purpose. But like many people, I had defined myself by what I did for a living and not by who I was. And when you stop doing what you did for a living, how do you define yourself? And I was worried about that. I was terrified about it. But anyway, I handled this by transforming myself into somebody else, into something else. Napoleon would have used the word transmutation. He liked that word. And he would have said, I transmuted my fear into a positive personal transformation. And I retired from the Marines, I think, in 95 again. I was 47 years old. In 2 years, I did a couple years of prerequisites, and at 49, I started medical school, and then I did my residency practice. And after that, my wife and I started a new family by adopting 2 children from Russia. And I started speaking at conventions and trade shows. And just last week, I agreed to narrate at least one book and to write another. So I've used fear that I had to power a transformation in myself into something else. So I think there are many ways to channel fear, either energy on the stage or motivation to do something or motivation to change something. And that's the way we can make a positive effect out of a very negative entity, I think.
Now you have, you got your children, too.
Mm-hmm. I do.
I forgot. They're not twins, right?
No. My son is
boy and girl, though. Yeah.
Son is 9. My daughter is 12 in this generation, and then I have two stepchildren. One's 41, and the other's 42. I have a trophy wife, but she's my age.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. Say hello to her for me. She's always so sweet when I call. But I was going to ask, the reason I brought them up, because, many people tuning in, they have children or grandchildren. What's a good way that we can instill getting past fear to our children? Maybe you can use an example for you and your children.
They have to face the fear. If they're afraid of something underneath the bed or in the closet, you turn on the light and show them. Yeah, I mean, if they never face their fears, then they'll always run from them. My son takes karate, and he's very, very good at it. He has the ability to stay focused. In fact, since he's asked him to train with the adults. Well, one day he was out there. They call it kumite, but it's sparring with another kid about his age, but a little bit bigger, who didn't like to pull his punches. And David is all bruised, and after that little match. And he didn't say anything to me, but I knew he was upset. So I said, well, why don't you just tell this boy that if he hits you hard, you're going to hit him back? And he said, well, since he'll get mad. And I said, no, you tell the boy if he hits you hard, you're going to hit him back, and just as hard. And I said, not only that, when he gets ready to throw that left leg up and kick you, he goes back on his right heels and drops his hands. And if you spin with your hips and throw your right fist into his solar plexus, he's going to go back on his butt. So David had an opportunity to demonstrate that could happen. And that was overcoming fear, the understanding that, yeah, it's going to happen, be prepared for it, and deal with it.
And deal with it, huh?
And
there you go. So I guess that's really a good way to look at fear. It's most likely going to have it. Be prepared for it, and deal with it. Face it head on. Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel you've mastered fear?
No. Good heavens, we all have fear. But I know how. I know how to handle it. You ever see a child close his eyes when he tries to catch a ball? It doesn't work well, does it? Or a boxer will tell you to keep your eyes open if you don't want to get punched in the nose a few times. So facing fear and understanding it is the only way to conquer it. And if you can't conquer it, you got to make use of it.
I love your little one-liners. Very, very good. Okay, so how has Napoleon Hill's philosophy helped you deal with fear?
It's made me think about my life, about my failures in life, and reclassifying them. There was a long, long time ago when I didn't do things in life because I said I can't do this because I don't. I once said I couldn't become a doctor or a lawyer or a doctor because I didn't have the money or the grades. And I eventually did become a doctor 30 years later. And I did it by getting the money through the GI Bill and getting the grades by going to college and getting straight A's. And I realize now that what I look back as reasons for not doing things and fear of trying, not accomplishing anything, were simply tasks that I needed to accomplish in order to achieve my goal. So, so looking back at it, years and years later, fears that I had before were unfounded. They were based on inaccurate thinking, and thinking about them correctly oftentimes get rid of the fear.
Okay. Now, you know what? What do you feel? I opened it up with a quote of your granddad's. What is your favorite quote of his? And it can be around this topic, or it can be something different. And why?
Well, what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, because that's the nexus. That's the actual. That's a central point of this philosophy of success. It really is. It is about your mind and conceptualizing what you want. And if you can do that and you can believe that you can accomplish it, then you will achieve it. And the book, Think and Grow Rich, tells you how to do that. And that's the power of the book. It tells you exactly how to do that.
Yeah, and speaking of that, because I want to go into rejection in a minute, but I want to talk to the listeners and get your insight, JB, on them and what they think and how they can shift their thoughts from, the limiting belief that a lot of us have. A lot due to the way we were raised, perhaps, or, we thought we were doing something exciting one time and we thought we were on target, and a teacher may have said, fortunately I have to say that because I hear that a lot, teacher may have said something that disempowered you more than empowered you. And people still carry that baggage for years. So how do we let go of that baggage and start thinking more positive and opening up ourselves so we can reach our highest potential?
You have to examine the baggage. There was what was this guy's name? The governor that sent Napoleon Hill to interview Andrew Carnegie, Bob Taylor, and he tells a story about a young man that he was campaigning in the state, and the young man would not vote for Bob Taylor because he was a Republican. He said, "Well, why won't you vote for a Republican?" And he said, "Because my daddy, and my granddaddy are all Democrats. That's why." And Bob Taylor said, "Well, wouldn't you be in a pickle if they were horse thieves?" And the point is, okay, that's fine for them, but what's right for you? You need to think for yourself. People will sometimes tell a lie, and telling that lie, they can tell it so often they begin to believe the lie. And that lie can be something, it could be an attitude or an opinion that's impressed upon them by inaccurate thinking on their parents or their grandparents or their school or their friends. And it's impressed upon them. And they'll believe it to the day they die unless they stop and look at it and examine it. Sometimes a person will tell a lie. It's a self-serving lie. And then they have to tell another lie to cover it up. And those lies are told so often they're pressed into the subconscious mind. Along with it are memories that they use to support and defend the lie. And then when they think about that thing again, they pull out of the subconscious mind all these fake memories that support it. And they begin to see what happened, and it's become real to them. They cannot tell the difference between a lie and the truth, and the lie and reality. Well, that's what happens to many, many people, when our subconscious mind is imprinted without control of the conscious mind. And changing those attitudes, changing those beliefs requires us to reprogram the subconscious mind. You do it by thought. That's why prayer works so well. That's why meditation works so well. That's why affirmations work so well. You basically reprogram the subconscious mind. Some people say, why are you lying to your subconscious mind with affirmations? You're not lying, because you're convincing the subconscious mind that, which is irrational and doesn't know the difference, you're convincing the subconscious mind that it can become positive and that you can do things, so that you at least try them. And once you get past that point, then you will become successful, and your affirmations will not be lies. I don't know. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did answer it. You answered it really good. And now my next question is to you. Did that ever happen to you, maybe in any time of growing up, that you can remember that really put a dent in your brain, where you wanted to do something and someone said, don't do that, or you can't do that, or your talent isn't in that area?
Well, when I retired from the Marine Corps, I had made the decision to go to medical school. And I had a good friend of mine. We were talking. He was getting out. And he turned to me and he says, you're not going to be able to go to medical school. And I looked at him and I said, well, I know I won't go if I don't try. And that powered me. He was the first person I wrote after I got into medical school. So, yeah.
And said, look, it's tough. It really does. It can scar you, but you got to get past it and you got to believe in yourself and let it empower you rather than disempower you. Like, I'll show you, right? Absolutely.
It irritated the heck out of me is what it did.
I know. Yeah. I bet it did. When they say you got to walk the walk and talk the talk, what do you feel that means? Because different people I look at it like, okay, you may not reach the point of where you want to be, but if you just pretend in a way that you're there.
Well, people do
and
that.
Walk
Action.
the walk and talk the talk. Yeah.
I say actions, not words, is the same thing. Don't tell me what you're going to do. Show me. I mean, you cannot lead from behind shouting. You can only lead from in front. Show me what you wanted me to do. Take me to where you want to go. I mean, that's why men will go into combat with leaders who say, "Follow me." I mean, not often do they go into combat and someone goes, "Charge that machine gun nest," but they'll go if you say, "Follow me." So its actions are much more powerful than words.
It is. I used to be in network marketing, and I met this guy, and it was so interesting because he wasn't a millionaire at the time, but he dressed it, and he walked the walk and talked the talk. He trained everybody, and he used the right words, and he brought people, big people in to speak, and Les Brown and all these stars and stuff. And now he's, I think, at either the top or within the top 3 network marketers. And you know who it is? Holton.
Oh, Holton Bugs, what a guy he is.
Yeah. But when I started with him when he first pretty before Organo Gold days, and he was just talking it and speaking it and walking it in existence. I mean, he was clean. I mean, oh my goodness, he had the custom shirts, the whole bit. You would have thought he was in a mansion, and he wasn't at that point. But now, wow, just from doing that, just from really believing that, and presenting himself like a millionaire, he became a millionaire, probably multi-millionaire by now.
I think he's in the top 5 of all direct marketers.
Yeah.
Someone told me just last week that he probably earns anywhere from $5 to $6 million a year.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, I've been to both houses, the house before and the houses that he have now, and it was really for me. He gave me hope. This was before my radio days. He gave, before I even started this journey, it was him bringing in Les Brown and all these people that made me pick up the books and audios, and I watched him each year develop, and, it just puts a smile on my face to see where he came from to where he is now. So, it is true. If you affirm those things and you really, do the work, right? Got to do the work.
Yeah, I'd like him to write a book. But, I'll probably see him in October. If I can get close enough to him to say, you need to write a book.
Yeah, absolutely. And be sure to tell him Raven said hello, by the way.
I will.
Let's talk about rejection. How do you handle rejection? Because usually making anything happen in life requires more than just you. I know Houghton used to say people that are successful, they get more rejections, and the rest of us, we give up too quickly.
What do you do if you're rejected? Somebody rejects you because they don't like you, or they, because you talk with an accent or smell bad. You learn something from it. You can't do anything once they've already rejected you, so the only thing you can do is learn from it, right? And if you take the time to do that, put aside your hurt feelings, say, well, why did he, I'm a good person. Well, why did he reject me? And then you have the power to change yourself and avoid future rejections. So you have to look at past rejections as failures from which you can learn things. Most people face rejection due to either personality or behavior or poor skill sets. They're not selected for the job or whatever. But each of these is within your power to fix. You can do that by taking possession of your subconscious mind and making it work for you. So you deal with rejection by learning why you're rejected and thinking of it as positively and in the sense of what you can do to improve. That's what you do.
It's kind of like fear, It's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. You're going to be rejected, so you can't let it stop your dreams, huh?
Sooner or later, someone's going to reject you. a lot of girls don't like me, right? I grew up, a lot of girls didn't like me, but I still married my high school sweetheart. So.
Oh, that is so special. You guys are precious. Yeah, that's so special. You and Holton have that in common. Marrying your
he married his high
sweetheart.
school?
Oh yeah. It's the only woman in his life.
Gosh.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
No.
absolutely. So you guys should write a book together. How to stay married to the same person for years, from high school till now. That's a book in itself.
His would be the better book. But actually, I married my high school sweetheart 25 years after she Dear John me.
Oh, okay. Is that another interview?
Yeah, well, he who waits will succeed, right? Or patience or something like that.
What are some specific tips and strategies you can share that will assist our listeners, JB, in finally making that quantum leap, taking them from good to great, my friend?
Oh, gosh. I mean, read, and then take action. I really, truly believe that your greatness is a choice that you're going to make. Your success itself is a choice you make. I mean, you become who you are today because of what you chose to put into your mind yesterday. I mean, that's why you must read and you think and interact with other people today. And if you want to become someone else tomorrow, you have to start doing something else today. And that's why you must act today. So if you read, then put it all into action. That's the best strategy I know to achieve success and become or reach your greatest potential. That's what I would say.
Is Think and Grow Rich that your favorite book of your granddad's?
Of my granddad's?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He certainly knew it was the most important work.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of think he liked you can work. Grow. Well, I like my favorite of his books is not Think and Grow Rich was the most the one that changed my life. It was the Master Key.
The Master
I'm not
Key.
Master Key. The Magic Ladder of Success.
Oh, okay.
His Grow Rich with Peace of Mind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the later books is kind of a interesting book because he's looking back at life, I think, and also you can work your own miracles. I'm going to do that. That's I've been retained to narrate for Brilliance Audio in the fall.
Oh.
But you can work. Yeah, so you can work your own miracles is a good book too. Think and Grow Rich is by far the most powerful. Okay. But it's not necessarily my most favorite. It's the one I've read the most, though. It's the one I always go to. So it's the source.
It is the source. They say that is the most highly read book next to the Bible. They used to say it. I haven't checked the statistics on that.
It's in 85 languages now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's incredible. And it's been published continuously since 1937. How many books can you say that for?
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, besides your granddad's, what's your next favorite book, or who inspired you?
Oh. Gosh, you ask tough questions.
I know.
I'd like to really say that that somebody I studied, some famous person, did it, but it's not that way for me. Actually, my English teacher, good old Mrs. McGee, who taught me English Lit, taught me how to deal with life in a sense. But my parents taught me how to live it better, I think. Mrs. McGee was a black English teacher I had. She made me read a book called Candide. It was written by a French philosopher named Voltaire. Actually, I don't think he was a philosopher. I think he was a satirist. Anyway, the book was written about 300 years ago, and it's a satire about various French philosophers and their philosophies for success. And in those days, they had Epicureans who believed eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you die, and the Stoics who believed that you had to endure life, and the pessimists who believed that this was the worst of all possible worlds, and the optimists who believed it was the best of all possible worlds. Anyway, the main character in this book had all these adventures involving all these philosophies. And he was first an optimist until his world crumbled, and then he was a pessimist for a while, and so on. At the end of the book, the character finally realized that the world is nothing more than what we make of it, and that when things that are bad happen, we should just understand that they're bad and let it pass.
Let it pass.
Let it pass. So I took the saying, even this will pass, and I put it into my brain, and I've used it all my life to get through tough times. I've learned to shrug my shoulders and face my fears and deal with the consequences. And because I'm able to do that, the problem I always pass. I always do. My dad, I learned to take pleasure from the simple things in life, and I got my ethics training from him. From Mom, I acquired a thirst for education, and she had tremendous empathy for others. I can still hear her voice saying, "Ah," in sympathy whenever she saw something heartwarming. She was a nurturing kind of woman, but only in terms of success. Nap Hill. I think they can grow rich. I took it as advice from my grandfather, and I did what he told me to do, and it changed my life. So I guess those are my parents, my grandfather, and Mrs. McGee from high school.
Mrs. McGee from high school. What about, did you ever, let me see, meet your Uncle Blair?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about him, because that was fascinating. Yeah, he was amazing.
He was born without external ears, although he did have some bones, and he was able to hear with a hearing aid once they invented them. But you had to shout in his ear for him to hear you. And we were going up. My dad tells the story that, Dad didn't see it, but he told me the story. That the first sound that Blair ever heard was they had an old Vitola. It's a record player. It's a big horn coming out of it. And it would go around, and you'd wind it up, and it would go round and round. And Blair would kneel in front of it, and he'd watch it go round and round. And then one day he put his teeth on it, and he could hear the vibrations conducting through the wood through his teeth, and those are the first sounds. And Dad said he gnawed a hole in that old Vitrola. He spent so many hours listening to music, the first music he could hear. But he turned he was the most loved man in town, and because he was a guy who gave to people, he gave back to people, he helped people, and that's the way he spent his life. And he was a very successful businessman, and everyone loved Blair.
Yeah, I remember he surprised a lot of folks, with the challenges that he had. So that was just great that he was able to push past them and didn't let it stunt him. And I wanted to bring that up because so many of us have different things that, we're dealing with, and I don't know why, his name just flashed. So thank you for sharing a little bit about him.
Sure.
Absolutely. Speaking of adversities and challenges and setbacks that keep people from moving forward, can you share a short story to our listeners, JB, on something challenging you faced, and how you were able to continue moving forward despite the odds, JB?
Raven, you want my dark secrets, don't you?
Yeah, you know it.
All right. I'll tell you, not a dark secret, but I have one I can tell you, okay? Let's see. Betting my future and my wife's future on getting into medical school when I was 49 was a bit of a challenge. Yeah, it ended well, but only because I didn't give up on anything, and I never give up on anything that I truly want. So getting through medical school, though, for me, meant that I had to work as hard as I possibly could, as hard as anybody ever had to work to get through school. I mean, it took everything I had. And my old mind just didn't, it was 49, it just didn't absorb information very easily. And certainly not on the scale that I needed for medical school. I think it was during my second year in school that I had experienced my first migraine aura. Do you know what that is?
Is that where it just hurts all the time?
A migraine headache hurts really hard, but they're often associated with flashing lights. Sometimes you can get the flashing lights without the pain. All right, and I had my first episode of flashing lights without the pain. I was in medical school, so my first thought was that I might have a brain tumor. And when I had that thought, I suddenly found myself soothed and relaxed and calm. The reason why was I could quit medical school, because nobody could expect me to finish medical school if I had a brain tumor. I could quit. I mean, that's how badly I wanted to quit. But it wasn't a brain. It wasn't a brain tumor. Since I never give up.
Stay in school, huh?
I never give up. I met that challenge, and I graduated from medical school. But only because I don't quit. Never give yourself a reason to quit. Never give yourself a reason to quit. A lot of times we'll manufacture it. I almost manufactured one there. So,
don't be speaking the wrong thing into existence, huh?
Yeah. So I mean, so that's. The challenge was my slow mind and the amount of effort that I had to put into it. It was hard. It was so hard.
Well, I'm glad you didn't went through school and finished that without having to have any issues like that, JB, for real. I mean, there's some things I've been trying to get out of, but come on. I know, but it's just about how bad you want to get out of it, for sure. I know I want to spend some time with you, the few minutes we have left, talking to you a little bit about what you want to pass on that you've learned since you picked up the book and now you've gone through the Napoleon Hill certification and all that you want to pass on to the listeners, any philosophies, anything that we've missed so far in this interview that you feel is important for them to know, to push them to their greatness, Jay, because we really, really want to do that for real.
Well, there are a few things. I think I touched on earlier about what I call it framing a problem as a goal. Mm-hmm. and solving it that way. I mean, mm-hmm. when I decided to change my life, and I wrote down all the possible things I wanted to be in life, and I started crossing them off. And I crossed off become a doctor. I told you the reasons why, and become a spaceman. I told you the reason why. And if I had become a spaceman on that list, I crossed all those things off. And finally, the only thing left on my list was finish my education, and that's what I did. And then I didn't understand at the time that I needed to frame my problem as a solution that needed. My goals as a solution that needed as a problem that needed solution. About 8 years ago, I was in Chicago, and I was at the World Learning Center. Judith was having a seminar, and they were talking about negatives. Mm-hmm. And they asked us to write down any goal that we ever had in our life that we never accomplished. So I covered my hand so no one could see it. She said she wasn't going to ask us what they were, and I wrote down become a spaceman. I'm in my 50s, mind you, okay? It was a boyhood dream, become a spaceman. And then after a minute or two, she said, well, I want everyone now to spend the next 5 minutes to think of every reason why you can't accomplish your goal. And so I sat there on that piece of paper and a pencil for 5 minutes, and I looked at it. And at the end of 5 minutes, I looked over at Don Green, who's executive director of Napoleon Hill Foundation. He hadn't written down anything, and I said to him, I can't think of any negatives. And he said, I can't either. And then I thought about it. And the reason why I couldn't think of any negatives is that why a 53-year-old man without any special talent could go into space and become a spaceman is my thinking had become like this. Okay, I want to become a spaceman. How do I do it at this age, my age? I'm in my 50s. I don't have any special skills. I'm too old to go through the normal ways, through the military and other ways like that. So how do I get into space at my age? And then I said, the Russians will send me into space for $25 million. I need $25 million. How do I get $25 million? And at that point, I just got lost in the problem of how to get $25 million so I can accomplish my goal. And so what I've done now, whereas at one time I would have said there's no way I can get into space, that would have been my mindset. Now it's switched to how do I do it? How do I accomplish it? So I reframed the problem as a goal that needs, the goal rather is a problem that needed solution. And then that's a fundamental difference in the way I think now from when I did when I was a kid. I would say that if I were 3 steps, I would say I would always approach all goals like that. That's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is I would choose my goals wisely, but above all, you've got to choose a goal. You have to choose them. Second thing I would do is understand that everything in my life is up to me, whether I'm happy or unhappy, whether I'm wealthy or not. And even my spiritual growth is it's up to me. It's my choice. Nobody else is responsible for whether or not I'm happy. They can make me unhappy, but they can't make me happy. Happiness is my personal responsibility. And so I have to make choices and go after it. And the last thing I would do, if I really want to change my life, is pick a goal and start working toward it right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not after the first of the year. You start working now.
Do it now. Where to next for you?
No time. It's time for action, not words.
Where to next for you? I know you said book, right? Yeah, your book. Is that the next big step for you?
For me? Oh, gosh, let's see. I'm going to the beach in a week. Then I come back for a week, and then I got to go to Vancouver for the graduation of the leadership certification course in Napoleon Hill Foundation. I'm giving a speech there.
I wish I knew
Then,
you were going at. I could have took it at the same time I was supposed to take mine 2 years ago. You know, when we spoke at the Napoleon Hill event
oh yeah, yeah.
that first time.
Well, actually, there
That I
are
spoke.
24 people in my class, and 12 of them are from different countries. There's an interesting. You have a minute for this? An interesting story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, there's an interesting. No one in the class knows who I am. Okay, and for two reasons. First off, you know, we have a little form, we introduce each other, and I said my name is JB Hill. I said I'm a working physician. I've been studying Napoleon Hill all my life. I'm here to learn. Okay, I didn't say I was Napoleon Hill's grandson. Yeah. I was there to learn and not to teach. And the problem is, if they know who I am, they think everything I say is gospel. You know, I'm there. You know, I got 24 minds. I can learn more from the other 23 than they can learn from this one. So I didn't tell anyone. And so one of the guys introduced himself. I won't give you his name, but he had an interesting story. He said, I'm here for a couple of interesting reasons. He said, about 6 months ago, he said, my ex-girlfriend contacted me, and there was this coffee company that had this demonstration she invited me to. It sounded pretty interesting. I went to it. I went to a couple others, and he said, and they had this large convention in Vegas with 30,000 people. And he said, I decided to go with my ex-girlfriend to this convention. And he said, on the second day of the convention, there was a Napoleon Hill booth, and I bought a book and I bought a raffle ticket. And that afternoon, Dr. Hill came up on stage. Now, I'm in the course reading this, and he doesn't know who I am, right? So Dr. Hill came up on stage, and he gave his speech, and he says, and during this speech, I had this burning desire to learn the principles of success and to spend my life helping people. He said, I turned toward my ex-girlfriend, and I told her I was going to do this. I was going to study the philosophy of success and teach people. And he said he was going to win that raffle ticket, too. He was so positive. Anyway, he said he came back on Monday. He was absolutely exhausted. He was at work on Tuesday, and he got a call from Judith Williamson. And he'd won the raffle ticket. And the prize was tuition to the course. So he's now getting ready to learn the principles of success that he swore that he would do.
Wow.
That's a nice story.
Yeah, it's an absolutely beautiful story. Spoke it in existence. Wow.
He's going to be shocked when he sees me in Vancouver.
That's going to be so nice. That's going to be so nice.
Yeah.
I wish that it would have been fun, but it was great, you know, the time I did meet you. You actually, you know, it was so, I was thinking about it the other day when I knew I was going to interview you again. I was like, wow, I remember when we were at the event, I forget where we were at. Oh, God, can you think of it? I can't think of it. When we walked the Lazarus, remember?
The Labyrinth. That was in Chicago, yeah.
Yeah, that was in Chicago, yeah. And that was my first time ever speaking. And Judith just gave me the topic, you know, what was it? I forget, to harness your anger and let your love flow or something like that. And I'm like, my very first time speaking, and you in the audience of all people. But you gave me a great testimonial. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. But it was great. I want to close off by sharing what you can and what you feel open to sharing about your memories of your granddad, because people are going to want to know that. And then the final question, we'll just give them 2 action steps. But share a little bit about what you remember about your granddad.
Well, you know, there was an estrangement between the family after he and Rosalie got married, and he divorced my grandmother. So, you know, my adult recollection of him is more or less along the lines of everyone else's. It was strictly professional, you know. The last thing I remember was at 12 when he handed me Think and Grow Rich and told me to read it. You know, that was the last thing, I would say.
That's the last thing.
And I didn't realize that was my legacy that he was giving me. But it's the same legacy he's given everybody else, right? And I'm just fortunate that I was able to wise up enough to listen to him, you know, and it truly became valuable. Well, it was valuable before I used it, I guess, but it became personally valuable to me when I did use it.
Let me see. Was he married when
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
You've been a few times, right, or something like that?
Oh, yeah. He was married to my grandmother for 25 years. And but the problem, when you're always away, how do you sustain a marriage? And people say, well, he was away, he should have spent more time. with family, and well, that's true. I mean, that's what caused the marriage. What I look at it today, and I've read his letters to my grandmother.
I hear
She
your
saved
big
every
dogs.
Yeah. Sorry about that. He shaved every one of his no, he shaved every one of his letters. She did. So there was clearly a passionate romance and love affair between them,
Mm-hmm.
But it just didn't survive all those years of being away. And he was working on his philosophy of success. There's a musical was done 2 years ago in Malaysia, and it.
Yeah. How was that?
And it was wonderful. There's a song in it, and my grandmother's depicted, and she's singing a song called "Dreamer,"
Mm-hmm.
and basically, how do you love? How do you care for, and how do you love a dreamer? And it's a very sad, moving song. So that was a problem, and it didn't survive. But he eventually met a young woman named Rosalie Beeland. She was 29, and she was a woman of incredible beauty, and she had a sharp mind too. I've researched her. She had her own wits about her. She was okay.
She was okay. And you had lots of cousins. I mean, let me see. Okay, cousins and stuff growing up.
Well, no, not really. I'm the only male grandson. There are great grandchildren, lots of grandchildren, and of course I go up to 2 generations and down. My hill family, since the 1700s, I probably have 10,000 hills in the country. I've identified about 1,000 of them. So.
Oh, really?
I got lots of cousins. Actually, we're all cousins, Raven. You know that.
Yeah. Hey, cuz. Hey, cuz.
My genetics migrates. They came out of North Africa. You know that? Yeah, we've tracked my DNA right out of North Africa. That's where my ancestral home was. Yep, North Africa.
Wow. Okay, so I can really say, hey, cuz. Hey, cuz.
You can. We're cousins.
Yeah. For sure. This has been great. I want to leave them with 2. You gave us a lot. There's no doubt about that. But we want to leave them with at least 2. Get off your heinies and get into action, not tomorrow, but now. Steps.
That's
so what do you have for them?
That's exactly it. You just said it. You just said it. What did I say? I said action, not words. I said if you want to be somebody tomorrow, you want to be something different tomorrow, you got to do something today. If you don't, you're going to start off tomorrow exactly where you are today. I don't care if it's taking out a piece of paper and writing down a goal. And if you don't like the goal tomorrow, then rewrite it down. Eventually you get the right goal. But as long as you get a goal down and start working toward it, eventually, we spend our life in valleys. We don't know which direction to go. Maybe our definite major purpose is over the next hilltop. But you got to climb at least one of these walls to get up high enough above the clouds to see what's out there. Once you get up high enough to see what's out there, then you can get your direction. But unless you get started in some direction, you stay in that valley under the clouds, and you go nowhere, you do nothing.
Yeah.
So you got to get started.
You got to get started. Everyone, we're going to get started, right? No more putting off tomorrow what you can do today. That's for sure. JB, this has been just an amazing pleasure. You're always welcome back when you get your book, done or anything. I'm your media gal for sure because you've definitely supported me, and I so appreciate you. You just always have supported me, and now a friend and everything, and I just love you and so appreciate you. And I'm so proud that you're standing there in 30,000 something people. Next you'll be telling me 50,000, 100,000, and I can't wait till you come. When you coming to Cali?
I don't know. It's going to be about, they say 40 plus in St. Louis next month, or in October. They're going to do it in the stadium.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I guess I'll be flying in to see you guys then, But it'd be great to see some of the people, if you're talking about the organization. I know you're talking about. Oh, did we I know you want to give another shout out to Sharon and where we can go for her book.
Oh, it's amazing rewrite of Think and Grow Rich. I mean, it really is. I thought when I first got a copy to preview it, I said, most of these people just changed some dates and examples. She rewrote it. She did a nice job, and I was well pleased with it. But I think she's got a website, Think and Grow Rich for Women, and or .com. But anyway, you can find it if you Google Sharon Lecter and Think and Grow Rich for Women.
Yeah, it'd be great to see what she does with it.
It'll be done, be out on the 17th of June, and I know it's going to be a bestseller. I just know it's going to be.
I think it is too. I think it would be one that's needed. So how many books do you feel is in you? Do you really feel that's in you?
Well, between soccer matches and karate classes and my day job, as many as my family lets me squeeze out.
Yeah. Well, I know you're good. You're definitely a family man and want to stay married to your childhood sweetheart. So, you're going to have to take her on the road with you now, huh?
I do, but we got the babies. I took my daughter with me to Dallas for a trade show.
Oh, you did? Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I did indeed. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you know what? You've given us a lot. We appreciate it, and we want to respect your time, everyone. This is Dr.JB Hill, Napoleon Hill's grandson. You heard it from him. Don't put off tomorrow what you can do today or could have done yesterday. Let's just get the doggone thing done. Right, JB?
That's absolutely right.
All right, thank you, my friend. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And you know what? A little music and then back with more right here on Amazing Women of Power, our first global radio summit. Don't wait to be great. Don't you dare wait to be great. Do it now.
Hi, this is Dr.JB Hill. I'm the grandson of Napoleon Hill. You're listening to the Don't Wait to Be Great, Do It Now radio summit with my good friend Raven, the talk show maven, on the Amazing Women of Power, the world's leading positive programming network. Don't wait. Listen to Raven and do what she tells you to do. It works.